Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, boys and girls, it is the newest sensation that is sweeping the nation, so we might as well lean into it. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with, once more, as always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals, and we pick their brain about, state of the current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very, very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And, you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because, quite frankly, you're listening right now. If you are, hit that subscribe button. Do it. We really need you to do that. Hit that subscribe button basically on all of your podcast providers. Whatever you got, we're pretty much there. We're over at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, everything across the board. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, and don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, we're on the Twitter, we're on the Instagram, but we're also on the TikTok, and we're also on the Letterboxd for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, but this is the most important thing, and I say this a lot, but it's true. Please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because, you know, if we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, well, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a good one. It's an interesting one because, it's the brand new sensation that's kind of taken over things. And I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of Christmas movies out there now, and they're getting churned out like nobody's business. And some of them are actually kind of fun. People are leaning into it and loving them. And I mean, why the hell not? It is Christmas. You know, if you can't enjoy a Christmas movie at Christmas, when can you enjoy it otherwise? But it's playing on the Super Channel now. It is called Baking All the Way, and it's the story of a young pastry chef from Chicago who finds herself in Wisconsin trying to convince a handsome single baker to give her his gingerbread recipe for her new cookbook. And, you know, love is in the air, but hilarity is in the air as well, because this is really a good example of what the genre is, this new genre. I don't want to call it new, but it's kind of taken over the world, that what it's capable of doing, because it's really bringing in a diverse mix of actors and voices into what was historically a pretty white space. It stars Cory Lee, Yannick Bisson, and he also directed the film. So we had the unique pleasure sitting down, talking with Yannick about why the man who is famous for the Murdoch Mysteries. If in case you don't know, he is Detective Murdoch from the Murdoch Mysteries, one of Canada's finest outputs, Detective William Murdoch, or Inspector William Murdoch, depending on how you want to word it. But he is a hard worker, man, and I mean, he's been doing great stuff, but he decided, you know what, let's cross this off the list, and let's make a Christmas movie. And I think he made a pretty good one, because, again, like I said, it hits the cute buttons, but it's trying to push boundaries at the same time, which I think is an important thing. But if you have the Super Channel here up in Canada, or if you have one of the various cable channels, probably Hallmark or something down in the States, you can watch Baking All the Way. But first, enjoy our talk with Yannick Bisson as he veers away from the Murdoch Mysteries to make a Christmas feature. And like I said, it's a darn good one. But like I said, enjoy our talk with Yannick. And check out Baking All the Way, which is available now on the Super Channel if you are up here in Canada. And you know what? Have a Merry Christmas.
Talking about our little movie.
Well, I mean, I guess that dovetails into my first question, because, I mean, the world obviously knows you as Detective William Murdoch. How did Detective Murdoch manage to transition into directing a Christmas movie?
Well, you know, we're all students of film. I think it was just a natural extension of taking my wares on the road, so to speak. Just the opportunity to work in a different medium, different people, And maybe without the safety net of my crew and everybody that I work with day to day who support me and pushing the envelope in my career, and everybody was just great. It was, Christmas is a thing. These holiday movies never go away. People want them, and I'm happy to do them. I love the genre. I love the theme and sort of the feel goodness about it. And it's an opportunity to leverage my career and ask some great performers to come along and play, and that is a treat, because the end product, you have somebody like Colin Mockery come out, you end up with some doozies. Most of them you have to cut out, but you keep some really good stuff.
No, but I mean, it's one of those things. In watching Baking All the Way, I mean, I was so struck by not just the earnesty, but I mean, I think the honesty at the same time. I mean, there is that genuine love is kind of there. And I mean, I'm kind of curious, as you're sort of wading into the genre, like, I'm kind of curious what you learned, because I mean, obviously these movies of the week have become a bit of a beast unto themselves. I mean, especially in Southern Ontario, given how many we're making. Like, how did you find that experience of sort of really jumping into that world? Because I mean, I've got to imagine it's a bit of a polar opposite from sort of the day-to-day set life of Murdoch.
Well, yeah, and you know what, I deliberately set out to make something slightly different. So in casting Cory, who is Asian Canadian. Actually, her dad's German, but anyway, and she's a different take on the lead, because she's been playing number two for eons.
Right.
I had a first timer in Bianca Sass, who was a kid actor who could be so genuine. She got the comedy off the page. Nobody was telling her what to do. She understood inherently, like, she just understood what was required of her. So between that and the visually, stylistically, I wanted to get rid of a lot of the staples of these kinds of movies and keep it more earnest and somewhat flawed here and there, and a little bit some of the quirky edges left in, and a lot less of the sort of transitioning camera moves stuff. Get rid of all that and do more Wes Anderson, like, whoops, skip the record scratch kind of like moments and things like that, and just do it deliberately different right from the get-go. And there was a bit of pushback. There were my producers and Bill and Chris and everybody were like, this is typically when we do this, and we think Lifetime may want to. I'm like, okay, but let me try this. And so, everybody was obviously observing what works, but I tried to push the envelope as much as possible and give it, a real earnest take and slightly different in some areas.
To me, it really feels like sort of this movie of the week bubble is almost very comparable to sort of the Canadian indie scene, because I mean, it's one of the, like, you got to get in, you got to get out, you got to be efficient, you got to shoot them quick. I'm kind of curious, like, did you see any sort of parallels, like, as you're sort of in the thick of it? Because I mean, I was kind of amazed, just because especially in Ontario, we produce so many sort of genre movies and other movies and that kind of stuff. This just feels like another add-on therein.
Well, I think it's hard to say, because the movie didn't really have a home to start with. You produce some of these things on spec. So,
okay.
I was taking a chance a little bit on some of this stuff, but yeah, ultimately you want to make sure it has a home, and we found out quite quickly that we did, based on how we had packaged everything, the people that we got, and the caliber that we quickly sort of made this thing. So it was good in that sense, but you don't always know. And so, yeah, there are a lot of independent people out there that are making stuff that doesn't necessarily, find the home that you would want. We were very lucky, and we put the right people together that, the end product's going to be great quality, and it's going to find a home pretty quickly.
No, I mean, obviously the Christmas movie is a subgenre all of its own. And I mean, I'm kind of curious, what was it about that kind of drew you in, that made you want to make specifically a Christmas movie?
One of the things that I like to be able to do is to make humor where you don't expect it. So, funny Christmas movies, of course, you've got Chevy Chase as a reference. You've got
Right.
Home Alone. You've got a lot of different stuff that you can reference, and that's like deliberate, hardcore, best writers possible comedy. But I like some of the accidental stuff, and so I sort of feel that if I and I'm going to search for the word here. I'm terrible, but if I insinuate myself into a situation, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to sneak some stuff in and turn some stuff upside down. Whereas if I was trying to pitch it, it might not go so well. Whereas if we just get in there under the guise of making a regular movie and then, have some fun as we go along, you could end up making something really special. You got to be careful.
Well, no, but I mean,
it's a genre that never goes away. People love Christmas, so it was a natural thing to do. I've done a couple of other Christmas movies, and they still air to this day, and it's going on 20 years. So I thought, this, of course, if I do this, I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be around for a while. People are going to enjoy it, and it's going to be good. So.
But you know what I think this film has done? I mean, really, it's opened up kind of that middle ground between sort of that super sweet, aw shucks kind of moment, and then sort of the gonzo, wacky Christmas on the other side. It's really found sort of a through line in the middle.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. And if I had pitched that,
no, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. No, exactly. But
I personally like that. And that's part of the Murdoch is that we tales too seriously, so we have room for great accidents to happen. We have room for writers to send us in this area or that a little bit, and then we come back to a sort of middle ground, or a more dramatic episode, more high stakes, or more science or something like that. And similarly with this kind of movie, let's have a few zany moments, and let's make it a little bit different.
Was doing a feature always sort of in the offing for you? Because I mean, again, jumping from TV to film, it's a different beast.
Yeah, for me, I'm always going to put the same amount of effort. I'm still going to come at storytelling the same way. However, it's a little more close-ended, which in some ways makes it easier. It has middle, beginning, and an end, and I'm not carrying over arcs or satisfying different sort of agendas. It is what it is from beginning to end, and you have the whole movie, and in some instances you have the whole cut already in your mind, and you fill in the pieces, and it is not that much different. And in the ways that it's different, I probably would say it's easier because it's outlined. There are less curveballs. There are less demands on your schedule. Being in the middle of a big series that's been running for years and years, everything's sort of piggybacking. Each director is piggybacking. Story elements are piggybacking. And it's just this large beast. And somebody gets a cold, and then we got to change the writing. The day of, the color is blue, not green. It's just constantly adapting and, keeping it all in the lane. Whereas a movie takes away a lot of those complications. You have what you have. Although they say, there's the movie you write, the movie you shoot, and the movie you edit. There are elements of that are very accurate. It's a little bit easier on the brain, I think.
Well, at the end of the day, 90% of the job is probably casting, right? Because you don't necessarily get a lot of rehearsal time, especially on something like this.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah, exactly. It's you pull the string and just let it happen with some of these folks, and that's what I was hoping, and that's exactly what I got. Deb McGrath threw out some doozies that just blew my mind. And Jane Eastwood, always comes to play. She's very kind, and she's done a number of these, and I felt very honored that she didn't. It didn't feel that way. It felt like she was happy to be there, grateful to have been cast, grateful to work with me again. She played my mom, and played my mom once when I was 16 or 17 years old. So it was an interesting reprisal of that role. But you would never know. She didn't give it any less of herself. So it was a real treat. But yeah, the casting really makes the biggest impact on this stuff.
Do you enjoy sort of, I would imagine, the challenge of being not only in front of camera, but having to sort of lead things behind the camera sort of at the same time?
Yeah, well, you're contributing artistically that much more. You're stretching yourself that much more, taking on more responsibility. But you're also collaborating with a larger group of people. On set, the lead actor will have every department kind of travel through and around them in a sense. The director as well. They're two of the few people where every department travels, or they travel through every department, however you want to look at it. So you get to collaborate on that level times two. It's quite cool.
Now, I mean, this is just to start putting a bow on this. And this is a bit of a silly question, but it's one I like to ask people. Can you think back to the younger days? Was there a performance or a movie or a TV show that you saw as a kid that sort of had the light bulb go off for you that made you want to get into this business?
Oh yeah. And I don't want to compare my level of skill, but cool factor, I used to watch Clint Eastwood and think, man, oh man, that would be cool. Making those movies, making that face. And then not long after that was I used to watch Space 1999 and think, how are these people standing around on these plastic sets with these plastic models, but still giving such performances, Landau and people like that giving these performances. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. So all this serious acting, but with like play models and things and fake sets. And then later on, somebody who twisted it completely on its ear and blew my mind was Harrison Ford in the Star Wars movies. I was like, holy cow. So here's the cowboy movie brought into the space thing, and he's the cool cowboy. I just boom.
Right.
I was like, I was from right there. I was all in ever and ever the rest of my life. Bury me in a Star Wars casket.
See, now I have a vision of you making a Christmas movie with Space 1999 puppets, which I think would be fantastic. I just hope somebody gets to do that one day.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
exactly.
just to wrap this up, like you said, this film does push a little bit in the genre to sort of go color a little bit outside the lines. And I mean, I'm kind of curious now that you've got one under your belt. Do you see you doing more like this under your belt, and maybe even trying to color a little bit further outside the lines?
I'd say so. Yeah, I think one of the things that people don't know about me is I got my start in series television was a 3-camera comedy. Like I learned under people who did Welcome Back, Kotter and shows like that. I did more comedy as a young actor than anything else, and I appreciate the talent and the skill that it takes to do that. So I definitely will always be looking to do more, and then just turning genres of any kind on their ear. I one time I directed an episode of Murdoch Mysteries, and it was we had Bat Masterson and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in it, and I made a Murdoch Mysteries Western. And I love doing that. And it's and doing that kind of thing well takes an incredible amount of skill, and I do want to learn to be better and better at that. I've got a taste for it now, and I'm not saying I'm any great filmmaker, but I like the idea of twisting things a little bit, and so I'll definitely be looking for opportunities to do that.
But you know what, man, with Bacon All the Way, I think you've opened up the door just a little bit and created a little bit of a gateway for even people like me who are going, oh God, a Christmas movie. But then I watch it and I'm like, damn, this is a lot of fun. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be that transition movie for a lot of people.
Well, that's it. I'm out here doing stuff, and I'm making, no lie, I'm making it for my grandmother, but I'm also making it for my buddies because they're going to have to sit down with their family and watch it. So I'm making it good for them too.
Yannick, man, keep up the good work, and thank you so much for the time today, man.
Thank you, David.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.